Stepped outside this morning to walk the dog and basically negotiating with my brain to fully boot up for the day.
Well, I am incredibly prepared over here. Just so you know, I got my hot tea. My notes are perfectly organized, so I can carry us if you're still thawing out.
I appreciate that. I really do. Because
Um,
standing there, it actually hit me. Like a real realization. That unprepared feeling, that is exactly how most of us are living our social lives right now. We are completely, entirely unprepared.
wow, yeah. That's a really stark way to put it.
But think about it. You wake up, right? The room is still dark.
Hmm.
And before your feet even touch the floor, before you've taken a single intentional deep breath, your hand just automatically reaches out for the phone on the nightstand.
Yeah, it's muscle memory at this point.
Exactly. The screen lights up, and immediately you are just flooded with input. You have text messages, you check the group chats, you scroll through a dozen comments, you double tap a few photos, you might even clear out some emails.
Before you even get out of bed.
Right. Technically speaking, by the time you sit up, you are profoundly, undeniably connected to the entire world.
But then, and this is the part we really need to sit with today, you put the phone down to go make your coffee, the screen goes black,
Yeah.
and the room gets quiet again. And underneath all of those notifications, underneath those rapid-fire dopamine hits of, red badges and unread messages, there is this very sharp, very quiet ache.
It's so true. It's like a heaviness.
It is. It's a thought that creeps in and says, if I really needed someone right now, like if my world fell apart today, or even if I just had a piece of incredibly good news that I couldn't contain, I don't actually know who I would call.
Man, that is heavy. But it's the reality for so many people. It's the modern paradox of our lives.
Absolutely.
You're listening to this right now, and you might feel exactly like that. Surrounded by a constant roaring stream of digital noise, yet feeling like you are standing on a deserted island. You are technically reachable every single second of the day, but you remain completely untouched.
Untouched emotionally, yeah.
And that is the core mission of our workshop today.
Welcome to Vibrations and Manifestations. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Jared. We are taking a deep dive into the loneliness epidemic. We're unpacking this really jarring reality that digital contact does not automatically create emotional nourishment.
And if you are carrying that quiet ache we just described, I want to offer you a piece of reassurance right at the top of this journey, because I think people hold a lot of shame around this.
Oh, so much shame. Like they're doing something wrong.
Exactly. If you are feeling lonely, I need you to hear this. You are not lonely because you are broken. You're not lonely because you are inherently unlovable or because you miss some secret instruction manual on how to be a human being.
Right.
You are lonely because modern life provides us with an endless buffet of nonstop contact while completely starving us of actual emotional nutrients.
A buffet of contact. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And today, we're going to explore why your social health is just as critical to your manifestation practice as your mindset. And more importantly, how we can start clearing out that static of isolation.
Because to really understand how we ended up in this starving state, we kind of need to look backward. We need to look at the historical and anthropological story of how human beings were actually designed to live.
Which is fascinating because our hardware hasn't changed.
Not at all. Our biology, our nervous systems, our physical hardware, none of that is different from our ancestors. But our environment has radically, completely transformed.
It's totally unrecognizable.
Right. Think about human history for a moment. For thousands and thousands of years, humans survived by being deeply physically embedded in communities. We lived in tribes. We lived in small overlapping villages.
Dense, extended family units.
Exactly. Your life was never private. Food was gathered and shared collectively, which meant, your survival literally depended on the hunter next to you, and their survival depended on the gatherer next to them. Childcare was a group effort. The village raised the children because the parents were busy sustaining the village.
The physical reality of your life was completely intertwined with the physical reality of your neighbors. Like, you couldn't separate them.
You couldn't. And it wasn't just physical survival, it was emotional survival. If you experienced grief, if you lost someone you loved, that grief wasn't processed alone in a bedroom with the door shut.
No, it was public.
Right, it was wailed out. It was held by the physical bodies of the people around you. They brought you food. They tended your fire. Danger was faced together. Storytelling, which is basically how we pass down wisdom and regulate our nervous systems, happened around a shared physical fire.
Which forces eye contact, it forces proximity.
Yes. You literally could not survive without your people. Connection wasn't a luxury item. And it certainly wasn't a wellness trend. It was the fundamental infrastructure of biological survival.
We operated as a superorganism.
Exactly.
But then we started to shift the structural design of society. You have the dawn of industrialization, which pulls people out of these tight-knit ancestral networks and moves them into these crowded factory cities.
Where you're surrounded by people, but you don't know anyone.
Right. Suddenly, you were surrounded by thousands of people, but you don't know any of their names. And your survival is tied to a factory owner who you might never speak to, not your neighbor.
Yeah.
And then comes suburbanization. We started designing our lives around the concept of private property, individual space, and this ultimate ideal of self-reliance. We moved into houses with tall, fenced-in yards. We built attached garages.
Oh, the attached garage. It's so funny you bring that up because it's such a massive shift.
It really is. It's actually one of the most fascinating architectural shifts in human history when you view it through the lens of social health.
Totally.
Think about it. Before the attached garage, you had to park your car, walk down the street or up the driveway, and physically pass your neighbors. You had to say hello. You had to exist in the shared space of the neighborhood.
You were forced to interact.
Right. With the attached garage, you can drive from your isolated cubicle at work straight into your isolated house. You hit a button on your visor, the heavy door closes behind you, and you walk straight into your kitchen without ever having to look another human being in the eye.
We engineered the friction out of our daily routines.
Yeah, exactly. And then the technology shifted again. Television became mainstream. Entertainment used to happen in public squares, right? In community halls, local theaters. It was a shared communal event.
You had to leave your house to be entertained.
Yeah, but television took that shared experience and moved it indoors into the private living room. Fast forward a bit more, and the internet brings us constant contact at a distance. And finally, the smartphone.
The ultimate isolator.
We put the entire globe, billions of people, right into the palms of our hands. But in doing so, we created a device that physically pulls our gaze down. It tilts our heads away from the actual human being sitting across the table from us.
When you lay it out chronologically like that, it's breathtaking. We moved from deep, interdependent survival to ultimate hyper-individualized convenience.
And the insight we have to grasp here, the thing that is so crucial for you listening right now to understand, is that the loneliness epidemic didn't happen because people suddenly became cold.
Or because human nature changed.
Right. It happened because the structural systems that made care visible, daily, and unavoidable were slowly, methodically replaced by systems that made connection entirely optional, heavily scheduled, and honestly incredibly easy to avoid.
We engineered the friction out of our lives, and in doing so, we engineered the village out of our lives.
We really did. Which brings up the core dilemma we're all facing today. It's a concept I was reading about recently in a discussion on adult friendships, heavily inspired by some conversations between experts like Mel Robbins and Casley Killam.
Oh, I love their work on this.
Me too. And the premise is this. Everyone wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager.
Oh, man. That hits hard. Everyone wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager.
Right. We want the safety net. We desperately want the warm fire. We want the people who will show up unprompted with soup when we are sick.
Yeah.
But we are exhausted by the idea of putting on pants, leaving our comfortable, temperature-controlled houses, and actually participating in the messy, inconvenient, time-consuming work of building that community.
I have to admit, I have lived that exact paradox so intimately. Like, I remember a specific day last month that perfectly captures this illusion of connection.
Oh, I want to hear this.
Well, I had spent the entire day working from home. And I was responding to comments online. I was producing material for our community. I was answering dozens of emails, sending voice memos back and forth to our team.
Just constantly engaging.
Constantly. If you looked at a data log of my day, it would say I had interacted with hundreds of people. I was technically socializing from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. But when the evening came, I closed my laptop, I put my phone on the charger, and I just sat on my couch.
And how did you feel?
The silence in my apartment felt heavy. It felt suffocating. I realized with this sinking feeling in my chest that despite having contact all day long, I had not had a single honest, heart-level conversation.
Wow.
No one actually knew how I was doing. I hadn't looked into a single pair of eyes. I was profoundly lonely despite being highly contactable.
Highly contactable. That is the phrase right there. And, you know, I've experienced the exact mirror image of that scenario, and it doesn't even involve digital isolation.
Really? Like in person?
Yeah, completely in person. A few months ago, I was at a large social gathering. It was a crowded room, a holiday party. The music was playing, drinks were being poured, the lighting was perfect. I was physically surrounded by 50 people. I was like bumping shoulders with them to get to the appetizer table,
So you're literally in the village.
literally inside the village. And yet every single conversation felt like a rehearsed performance. Everyone was performing fine. We talked about the weather. We talked about the traffic on the way over. We talked about which shows we were currently streaming.
Just keeping it all on the surface.
Entirely guarded. Everyone was impeccably pleasant, impeccably dressed, and just completely walled off. Standing in the middle of that warm, crowded room, I felt completely disconnected.
Because nobody's being real.
Exactly. No one was telling the truth about their lives. No one was admitting they were tired or scared about the economy or dreaming of doing something completely different with their lives. We were all sharing space, but nobody was sharing themselves.
That distinction right there highlights a massive emotional pivot for our workshop today. Loneliness isn't always about having no people around you. Sometimes loneliness is about having nowhere to put the truth.
Nowhere to put the truth. Yeah.
It's the feeling of having no safe receptacle for your actual unedited self. You can have a thriving social calendar and still be starving for resonance.
And when you frame it that way, having nowhere to put the truth, this conversation shifts from being just a sociological observation into a massive, urgent manifestation issue.
Because in this space, we view everything through the lens of the reality you are trying to create.
Right. Loneliness is not just a sad social problem. It is a biological nervous system problem, and therefore, it creates manifestation static.
Let's break that down for the listener because the term manifestation static is so important. We have to understand the mechanics of how isolation impacts the life you are actively trying to build.
Well, when you feel chronically isolated, you begin to move through the world and create your reality from a state of survival energy. Your nervous system is basically operating under a low-grade, constant threat response.
Like your body thinks it's in danger because you're alone in the woods, evolutionarily speaking.
Exactly. And when you are living in that contracted state, you develop deeply ingrained hidden scripts. You start telling yourself, I have to do everything myself. No one is coming to help me. If I want this dream to happen, I have to carry the entire burden on my own back.
Which is such a heavy burden to carry.
Mm-hmm.
And it also morphs into something even more painful, like I have to earn the right to be included. I have to prove that I am valuable before anyone will support me.
Yes. And when your nervous system fundamentally believes you are alone and unsupported, your energetic field contracts. You become hypervigilant. You become entirely self-reliant in a way that actively blocks receiving.
Which goes against the very core of manifestation. Think about how manifestation works. It requires an openness, right? An expectation that the universe, often acting through other people, is going to deliver opportunities, support, and resources.
But if your internal script says, I am entirely alone, you literally stop expecting support to show up.
You do. When invitations or collaborative opportunities do cross your path, you don't even notice them, or your nervous system dismisses them as unsafe or a trick. You stop letting help in.
Which means, true, emotional connection is not a luxury. It is a vital, non-negotiable part of your receiving system. If you want to manifest abundance, ease, and love, you need a nervous system that feels safe enough to let those things in.
This maps so perfectly onto a framework I've been studying regarding social health, which Casley Killam talks a lot about. She describes human well-being as a Greek temple.
I love this analogy.
It's so clear. So we are all very familiar with two of the giant marble pillars holding up the roof of that temple, right? Physical health and mental health. We spend billions of dollars and endless hours trying to optimize our bodies with supplements and gym routines, and our mindsets with therapy and meditation.
We obsess over those two pillars.
We do. But there is a third, equally massive, equally critical pillar: social health. If you neglect your social health, if you ignore your relationships and your biological need for belonging, that third pillar crumbles and the entire temple of your well-being comes crashing down.
Because you cannot meditate your way out of biological isolation.
No, and you cannot green juice your way out of needing a village.
To ground that philosophy in the actual science of the body, we have to look at the vagus nerve and polyvagal theory. Experts like Stephen Porges and Deb Dana have really pioneered this. We've touched on how psychologists map our nervous systems before, but it is so crucial here.
It explains so much of our behavior.
It does. Your nervous system is ancient. It is older than language. It is constantly subconsciously scanning the environment, asking one single question. Am I safe?
Just continuously running that program in the background.
Exactly. And when you get a like on a photo or a quick text emoji, your brain registers the notification and gives you a tiny spike of dopamine.
Hmm.
It feels good for a millisecond. It's a momentary distraction. But your nervous system is infinitely more sophisticated than a dopamine loop.
It knows the difference between a text and a human.
Right. It doesn't count a digital like as a biological cue of safety. To
Sure.
actually downregulate, to take your foot off the survival brake and drop into a state of rest, digest, and connect, your nervous system requires specific, deeply ingrained biological cues.
What kind of cues?
It is scanning for prosody, which is a warm, melodic tone of human voice. It is looking for sustained eye contact. It needs to see the micro expressions on a human face that signal, I am tracking with you. I understand what you're feeling.
You can't get that from a screen.
No. It needs shared laughter, which physically regulates breathing. It needs the feeling of attuned listening, knowing the other person is genuinely absorbing what you are saying, not just waiting for their turn to speak.
I love the analogy of junk food to explain this gap between digital contact and emotional nourishment. Using passive social media scrolling as your primary source of connection is exactly like eating a giant bag of potato chips for dinner.
A perfect comparison.
While you're eating them, they taste great, they fill your stomach, you feel full in the moment. But a few hours later, your body is still starving because you haven't given it any actual vitamins, proteins, or nutrients.
Yes, you can be completely socially full, having interacted with hundreds of avatars online, but remain profoundly emotionally hungry because the vagus nerve hasn't received a single cue of genuine safety.
That framework completely changes how we view our screen time. It's not about shaming ourselves for using digital spaces. It's about recognizing when we are eating junk food while our bodies are craving a real meal.
Exactly. And to give this some practical structure, Casley Killam actually proposes a tangible goal called the 5-3-1 formula.
I really appreciate when these concepts get broken down into actual numbers.
It helps so much. It serves as a way to measure and intentionally stretch your social muscles. So the goal is to aim to interact with 5 different people a week. This provides diverse social ties and broadens your sense of community.
Okay, 5 different people. That could be neighbors, coworkers, friends.
Right. Then keep at least 3 relationships truly close. These are your deep anchors, the people who actually know your hearts.
Your 3 a.m. friends.
Exactly. And finally, aim to spend 1 hour a day connecting.
See, that last one hour a day can sound incredibly daunting to someone listening who is currently feeling deeply isolated. Like, if you don't even know who to text, an hour a day sounds impossible.
It really does sound like a lot.
But we need to clarify what that hour actually looks like. It doesn't mean a deep, soul-bearing, tearful therapy session every single day.
Oh, definitely not. That would be exhausting.
Right. It means an accumulation of relational moments. It's a 10-minute phone call with your sister on your commute. It's a mindful 5-minute conversation with your neighbor where you actually stop walking and ask how their garden is doing. It's eating dinner with your partner without the television on for 30 minutes.
Just piecing it together throughout the day.
Exactly. It is about intentionally feeding your nervous system those micronutrients of safety and presence throughout the day.
And as we build out that structure, we also need to elevate our perspective and look at the spirit of belonging. Because belonging isn't just the physical act of being in a room with someone.
Yeah, being in the room doesn't mean you belong in the room.
Belonging is a frequency. It is an energetic state of being.
When you are residing in the frequency of belonging, the felt sense in your physical body is, I am a part of life. I have a necessary piece of the whole. It is the deep, quiet knowing in your bones that says, I do not have to perform. I do not have to hustle. And I do not have to become someone else in order to be loved and accepted exactly as I am right now.
That is so grounding. And contrast that rich, grounded frequency with the energy of unconscious digital connection. When we are mindlessly scrolling or when we are posting specifically to manage our image and curate how people perceive us, we are operating on a frequency of performance, comparison, and a desperate kind of hunger.
We're just constantly broadcasting.
Yes, broadcasting, hoping someone validates our existence rather than genuinely connecting. There is a phrase that perfectly encapsulates this shift. Attention says, I saw your post. Resonance says, I see you.
Ooh, I need to say that again.
Yeah.
Attention says, I saw your post. Resonance says, I see you.
It's a completely different vibration.
It is, because your soul does not want attention. Your ego wants attention. The ego wants to be perceived as successful, attractive, and put together. But your soul wants resonance. It wants to vibrate at the exact same frequency as another human heart. It wants to be known in its messy, uncurated reality.
Now, in the pursuit of that resonance, we have to recognize that it doesn't look the same for everyone. This isn't a one-size-fits-all prescription where everyone listening needs to suddenly become the extroverted life of the party.
Thank goodness.
Right. Casley Killam talks about 4 distinct friendship styles, and naming these is so important because it allows us to give ourselves and the people we love a lot of grace regarding how we actually connect.
Let's explore those 4 styles, because understanding your own wiring completely changes how you build your village. First, you have the butterfly. The butterfly is someone who naturally thrives on frequent, casual connection. They love fluttering from group to group, striking up conversations with strangers, and maintaining a wide light network. They draw energy from the buzz of a crowd.
We all know a butterfly.
We do. Then you have the wallflower. The wallflower is highly selective. They prefer infrequent connection, and when they do connect, they're usually in the role of the deep listener. They take time to warm up to new people, but once they do, they are incredibly loyal.
Third is the firefly. And the firefly is fascinating to me. They love long, uninterrupted stretches of solitude. They protect their alone time fiercely.
Like, do not text me on Sunday.
Exactly. But when they do connect, they want to skip the small talk entirely. They don't want to talk about the weather. They want to dive straight into the deep end of the pool and talk about your childhood trauma or your biggest life dreams. It is infrequent but highly intense connection.
Oh, I definitely have some firefly energy.
Me too. And finally, you have the evergreen. The evergreen desires constant, deep connection. They want to be in the trenches with their 3 best friends every single day. They want the daily texts, the weekend plans, the constant integration of lives.
Okay, I have to pause and challenge something here, especially for the listeners who might be identifying as a wallflower or a firefly.
Go for it.
Let's say I am a deep introvert. My social battery drains incredibly fast when I am around people, even people I like. By withdrawing, by isolating, and by keeping my circle incredibly small or even non-existent for stretches of time, aren't I just honoring my energy? Like if going to a loud dinner party spikes my cortisol and exhausts me, aren't I protecting my peace by choosing to stay home on the couch?
That is the exact trap so many of us fall into. And it is a completely valid feeling, but we have to look closely at what the biology actually dictates, regardless of our personality labels.
What does the biology say?
Well, psychologists mapping our nervous systems have found something remarkable. Even self-identified deep introverts report higher levels of happiness, lower levels of stress, and better emotional regulation after they engage in deep, meaningful conversations.
Even introverts.
Yes. It turns out introverts don't hate connecting. They hate the superficial performance of socializing for the sake of it.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right. Solitude is a beautiful, necessary thing. We all need solitude to process our thoughts and recharge. But isolation is entirely different. Isolation is a threat state. We have to make sure that in the name of honoring our energy, we aren't actually just starving our nervous system of the resonance it requires to feel safe in the world.
But if I'm exhausted after a long week of work, forcing myself to go meet a friend feels like a monumental task. How does adding a social obligation actually lower my stress?
That brings us to something called the stress buffering hypothesis. Unless you are dealing with a severe medical condition or true clinical burnout that requires medical rest, positive social connection is actually the exact biological antidote to your stress.
So the thing I'm avoiding is the cure.
Exactly. When you are stressed from work, your body is flooded with cortisol. Your natural instinct is to think sitting alone in the dark will fix it. But when you push through that initial resistance, go meet a safe friend, and you hug them, and you laugh, and you vent about your week, your body releases oxytocin and dopamine.
Which counteract the cortisol.
Yes, those chemicals literally buffer and metabolize the stress hormones in your bloodstream. You arrive at the coffee shop exhausted, but you leave energized. You are starving for the antidote, but calling it protecting your peace.
Wow. You were starving for the antidote, but calling it protecting your peace. That brings us perfectly to the manifestation debug mode for this journey.
Yeah.
This is the moment where we ask the hard, uncomfortable questions to clear out the static.
I'm ready.
I want to pose a deeply confronting question to you right now as you are listening. Are you protecting your peace, or are you protecting your loneliness?
Are you protecting your peace, or are you building a fortress around your isolation? We frequently tell ourselves that we are setting a healthy boundary when in reality, we're just building a wall to keep out the effort of connection.
Which brings up a framework from Mel Robbins that we really need to dig into.
Yes, the excuse versus need framework. I came across a statistic in my reading recently on this that absolutely floored me, and it perfectly illustrates this point.
What was
73% of people admit to actively canceling plans just so they can stay home, even while simultaneously complaining that they are lonely and want deeper friendships.
73%? That is wild.
It is.
We are literally self-sabotaging our own villages. We are craving the fire, but refusing to walk out into the cold to gather the wood. So let's walk through this excuse versus need check-in, because it is a highly practical tool you can use the next time you feel the overwhelming urge to bail on a connection.
Let's do it.
Think about the common reasons we give ourselves for withdrawing. You get invited to dinner or a local meetup, and the internal monologue starts. I have nothing to wear. I really need to catch up on laundry. I don't have the extra funds this week to go out. I am just way too tired.
Let's deconstruct those, because almost all of them are excuses disguised as self-care, keeping us trapped in a lonely pattern. I have nothing to wear is an excuse rooted entirely in the fear of judgment.
Totally.
It is the ego believing that you belong only if you perform perfectly and look flawless.
Right. And I can't afford it is often an excuse, because connection doesn't require a $50 dinner. If the funds are tight, you could just say, I'm on a strict budget this week, but can we go for a walk in the park instead?
Exactly. The laundry will always be there. But the biggest one, the one almost everyone uses, is I'm too tired.
Oh, I use that one all the time.
We just covered the stress buffering hypothesis. Your tiredness is often the exact reason you should go.
We have to get ruthlessly honest with ourselves about distinguishing a true need from an excuse. A true need is a biological or safety reality. You have a family emergency. You are sick with a fever and you're contagious. You are dealing with a toxic or abusive relationship that you must set a hard, non-negotiable boundary against. Those are valid needs.
Absolutely valid.
But an excuse is just avoiding temporary discomfort. It is avoiding the mild social anxiety of driving to a new place where you don't know the parking situation. It is avoiding the vulnerability of letting a friend see you when you aren't perfectly polished and witty.
If we want to change our manifestation static, we have to change our behavior. Here is the micro shift, the practical rule to implement starting today.
Listeners, write this one down.
If you genuinely assess the situation and realize you have a true need to cancel a plan, say you truly are coming down with a terrible cold, you must immediately suggest an alternative date.
Ooh, I like that.
In the exact same breath that you cancel, you say, I'm so sorry I have a fever and need to rest tonight, but can we please reschedule for next Thursday?
It closes the loop.
Exactly. This simple addition turns avoidance into repair. It signals to the other person, and more importantly, to your own nervous system, that you are still open to receiving. Do not let I need rest become a beautifully wrapped disguise for I have stopped letting people reach me.
Turning avoidance into repair, that is a massive energetic shift. Now, as we clear this static, we have to look at the practical, ground-level steps of rebuilding the village. Because as we established earlier, the village is not something you stumble upon fully formed.
No, it doesn't just appear.
You don't just walk into a local bookstore and suddenly have a tribe of people ready to help you move couches and process grief. A village is something you build, brick by brick, interaction by interaction, through intentional action.
Which is intimidating.
Very. So to help with this, I want to introduce a practical tool for auditing your social ecosystem. The 3 circles of connection.
This framework is so helpful because it removes the paralyzing pressure of needing every single person in your life to be your absolute soulmate. Let's do an audit of your social landscape right now, together.
Okay, let's start with circle 1.
The first circle is your inner circle. These are your 3 a.m. friends, the people you can be completely, brutally, emotionally honest with. You don't need a massive group here. Just 1 or 2 people in the circle is profoundly protective for your nervous system.
The prompt here is, who in my life can I be emotionally honest with? Who can I call when my life is falling apart without needing to clean up my messy house or my messy emotions first?
Right. Then you have circle 2, the familiar circle. These are the people you see regularly through the natural, repetitive rhythms of your daily life. It is the barista who makes your coffee every Tuesday morning. It is the neighbor you wave to when dragging the trash cans to the curb. It is your coworkers or the other parents sitting on the bleachers at your kid's soccer practice.
So they're familiar, their faces are known to your nervous system, but the connection is currently superficial.
Exactly. The prompt for circle 2 is, where could I turn familiarity into warmth?
Oh, I love that phrasing. Turn familiarity into warmth.
Could I ask the barista how their morning rush actually went instead of just taking the cup? Could I stop walking, turn my body toward the neighbor, and chat for 2 minutes instead of just offering a polite, distant wave?
And finally, circle 3, the wider circle. These are people who share your values, your interests, or your deeper purpose, but whom you haven't necessarily integrated into your life yet. There's a little book club, a volunteer group at the animal shelter, a walking club, or a spiritual gathering.
The prompt for Circle 3 is, where could I become a regular instead of a visitor? Because this is the secret that spans all 3 circles. Belonging compounds through repetition.
Repetition is the magic mechanism. You do not build a village with one dramatic, cinematic confession of your soul to a stranger.
No, that would honestly scare them away.
Right. You build it by showing up to the same local coffee shop every Wednesday at 8 a.m. You build it by consistently saying hello to the same people. You build it through repeated, low-pressure contact.
That is exactly how the ancient nervous system learns that an environment is safe.
You have to endure the awkwardness of being a familiar face before you can earn the right to become a trusted friend.
And we really have to acknowledge that awkwardness. Reaching out, especially if you have been isolated for a long time, triggers social anxiety. Your heart rate might speed up. Your inner critic might say they don't want to hear from you. You're going to bother them.
It's terrifying to reach out when you feel like you've been forgotten.
It is. To push through that, I want to walk you through a real-time exercise right now. We call this the one-person bridge. I want you to pause whatever you are doing, if it is safe to do so. Take a breath. I want you to scan your mental Rolodex and think of one safe person right now.
Do not pick the most complicated relationship in your life. Do not pick the family member with whom you have 20 years of unresolved, heavy tension.
Please don't.
Pick someone simple. Someone who has always been generally kind to you, or someone you used to have great, easy conversations with, but the busyness of life just caused you to drift apart. Just one safe person.
Now, I want to offer you a script. Reconnecting does not require a sweeping apology for your absence. It doesn't require a paragraph of explanation. You can literally just open your phone and type, I saw something today that reminded me of you, and I just wanted to say I hope you're doing well.
Or, I was listening to a deep dive today about connection, and you immediately came to mind. I've really missed our chats.
Simple, low stakes. As you imagine typing and sending that message, I want you to pause and notice the feeling rising in your physical body. Is your chest tightening? Does it feel incredibly awkward? Is there a sudden spike of fear or maybe a slow flush of warmth?
Notice the resistance.
If you feel awkwardness, if your finger is hovering over the send button and hesitating, I want to reassure you. That feeling is simply the edge of an old survival pattern. It is the physical sensation of the manifestation static leaving your body.
The goal of sending that message is not to get a perfect, reciprocal, deeply emotional response. The goal isn't even to secure a coffee date for this weekend. The goal is entirely about your own identity level change.
Yes.
You are taking the physical action to become someone who makes honest bids for connection. You are moving from being a passive waiter, hoping the village finds you, to becoming an active villager who builds the fire.
Let's deepen that identity shift right now. We are going to slow the pacing down significantly. We've talked about the science, the history, and the actions. Now we need to let the nervous system actually experience what we are talking about.
If you are in a place where you can safely close your eyes, I invite you to do so now. If you are driving or walking, just soften your gaze, relax your grip on the steering wheel, and let your imagination pull these images into your present awareness.
Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs entirely. And let it out with a soft, audible sigh. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw unclench. Create some space between your teeth.
I want you to imagine that you are walking through a dense, quiet forest. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in deep, rich hues of violet, indigo, and soft orange. It is twilight. The air is cool, crisp, and incredibly clean. You can hear the rhythmic crunch of dry leaves beneath your feet with every step you take.
As you walk deeper into the trees, you are not afraid. You feel a sense of anticipation. Ahead of you, filtering through the branches, you notice a soft, flickering golden light. You move toward it, and as you get closer, you feel a gentle, radiant warmth pressing against the cool evening air on your face.
You smell the rich, comforting, ancient scent of wood smoke. As you step out of the trees and into a small clearing, you see a perfectly contained fire circle. Around the fire, sitting comfortably on heavy logs and thick woven blankets, are people.
Take a moment to look at their faces illuminated by the firelight. Some are talking softly to the person next to them, others are just quietly gazing into the dancing flames. Listen to the sound of this space. There's quiet, genuine laughter.
There is no frantic, anxious energy here. No one is trying to impress anyone else. No one is holding their breath. There is just the low, steady hum of people who feel entirely biologically safe in each other's presence.
And as you step forward into the light of the clearing, someone looks up and sees you. They don't look surprised. They look as though they've been patiently expecting you all evening.
They smile at you. It isn't a polite customer service smile. It is a warm, genuine smile that crinkles the corners of their eyes. They shift over and pat an empty spot on the blanket right next to them. A place that was saved specifically, intentionally for you.
You walk over and sit down. Feel the solid, grounding earth beneath you. Feel the radiant, crackling heat of the fire warming your face, your hands, melting away the chill of the forest.
Notice the profound feeling of physical relief expanding in your chest. Nobody here needs anything from you. No performance is required. You do not have to be witty or impressive or perfectly put together. You do not have to earn your spot on this blanket. You are allowed to just exist in this space exactly as you are.
The person next to you reaches over and simply passes you a warm, heavy ceramic cup of tea. They lean in, the firelight catching their eyes, and they say, softly but with absolute, unwavering certainty, "We're so glad you're here."
Let that sentiment settle deep into your bones. Let your nervous system drink in that cue of absolute safety. And as you sit in that warmth, feeling the weight of the cup in your hands and the heat of the fire on your skin, anchor these affirmations quietly in your own mind. Let them overwrite the static.
I belong before I perform.
I am allowed to receive warmth.
I do not have to do this alone.
I am becoming a villager in the life I am manifesting.
Take one more deep, slow breath in, pulling that warmth and that smoke-scented air all the way down into your belly. And as you exhale, slowly begin to bring your awareness back to the physical space you are actually in right now. Notice the contact of your body against the chair or the feeling of your feet resting on the floor. When you feel ready, you can slowly flutter your eyes open.
Welcome back. As we bring this journey to a close, we need to integrate everything we've just unpacked together. I want to summarize the core truth of this deep dive. Your loneliness is not a personal failure, and it is certainly not a permanent life sentence.
Not at all.
It is simply a biological and spiritual signal from a human system that was exquisitely, beautifully designed for belonging. Your loneliness is just the dashboard light in your car flashing, telling you that your engine is running out of oil, that your system is craving its natural state of deep connection.
And if you are actively working on manifesting a different reality for yourself, whether that is a massive career shift, financial abundance, a deeply loving partnership, or just vibrant daily health, you must remember that manifestation requires the nervous system infrastructure of mutual care.
You cannot hold massive, expansive energy in a contracted, isolated vessel.
Exactly. Being known, being seen, and allowing emotional support to reach you are the very mechanisms through which your manifestations arrive.
The core takeaway of this entire workshop, the one sentence I want you to carry with you as you navigate your week, is this: The life you are manifesting is not meant to be lived alone.
So we have a specific call to action for you, a weekly challenge to pull this out of the conceptual realm and put it into motion. Today, do not let the sun set without taking one small, courageous action of connection.
Send that text from the one-person bridge exercise.
Walk back into that local coffee shop, look the barista in the eye, and ask for their name. Suggest an alternative date to the friend you canceled on last week when you used being tired as an excuse.
Do not sit in your house and wait for the village to magically assemble itself in your living room. Take the risk. Endure the awkwardness. Become a villager.
And as you take those steps out into the cold to build your fire, know that we are here doing the exact same messy, vulnerable work right alongside you. If you want support in this, make sure you are subscribed to our weekly vibe letter. We send out specific journaling prompts related to these workshops to help you map your own nervous system and track your social health.
You can also head over to our YouTube channel where we have visual explainer videos breaking down the biology of these concepts, as well as sleep alignment guides to help you reprogram that manifestation static while your body rests.
As we part ways today, I want to express how much I value holding this space. It is a deeply beautiful thing to sit across from someone and untangle the messy, gorgeous reality of being human together.
The clarity that comes from pulling these ideas apart with you is a genuine gift. And to you, listening to us right now, I want to leave you with one final, lingering thought to explore on your own time. I want you to picture the biggest, most beautiful, most audacious thing you are trying to manifest in your life right now. The dream that almost scares you because it is so big. You have it in your mind.
Now ask yourself, who is standing next to you when you finally get it? Whose eyes do you look into to celebrate that victory? Because the village you build on the hard, awkward road to get there might actually end up being the greatest manifestation of all.
Take gentle care of yourselves and your nervous systems this week. We're so grateful you chose to spend this time with us.
Until next time, stay open.